Okay, so let me know if you can hear me. Somebody in the comments, let me see the comments and know if you can hear me. If you can hear me clearly, let me know that you can hear me. Put it in the comments. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, I want you to click the share button for this video. There is somebody who needs to be here. There is a friend, a colleague that needs to be on. If you were here yesterday, let me also know in the comments, were you here yesterday? Did you get value yesterday? And I'm very certain that if you got value yesterday, the value that you're going to get today will even be more, right? So before I bring on my face, I want you to click the share button. Click the share button, okay? Okay, so I want to go to the comments. Let me see if you're in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know where you're joining this session from. Let me see it in the comment section. Where are you joining us from? Okay, so God's time say we are ready. Let's say we are here. Fantastic. I can see one of our speakers in the comments. So good to have you here, Blessing. So if you are ready for today's session, please click the share button so that somebody will join us on this session. There is somebody that needs to be a part of this session. Click the share button and let me also know where you are watching from. Where are you joining us from? Where are you joining us from? Lagos, Nigeria, from Abuja, from where are you joining us? We are the location of the YAMA event. Exactly. We are at the location of the YAMA event. So good to have you here, Blessing. So Blessing is going to be one of our speakers today, and I feel so excited to have her on board. And yes, we're talking about the YAMA event. If you do not know or you've not heard, we're having YAMA Convention 2024 in Abuja, and we are ready. We are ready. So ensure that you find your way to Abuja. And if you cannot, for any reason, you can actually get on with the virtual connections, right? So let me know where you're watching from. If you're in the comments, please share this video so that somebody would be a part of this session. And so I'm going to bring up our speakers shortly. But before I bring them up, let me show my face so that you can also see who your guest and your host for tonight is, right? So, before I show my face, I want to give you a teaser into what you are going to see when you attend YAMA Convention 2024. Okay? So yeah, so we're inviting you for YAMA Convention 2024 in the city of Abuja, and I hope that you show up, right? So I hope that I get to see you all at this event. So for any reason, I would like to say, if you cannot make it to the event, please find your way to the virtual session, be a part of the virtual session. We can't wait to have excited to have you. You can hear me loud and clear. Let me know that you can hear me. I want to see somebody in the comment. Tell me where you're watching from, and we would get immediately with today's session. So let me know in the comment section, where are you watching me from? Where are you watching the session from? And if you can hear me, also let me know in the comments. Can you hear me loud and clear? My guests are already on board. We're waiting, and they are ready to share with you some of the things that has helped them to accelerate in their journey, things that you also need to pay attention to, such that when you run with them, you are able to, accelerate in your own journey. All right, so let me see the comments. Okay, somebody says, okay, Ladum says, we watching from Abuja, beautiful. We are set, right? So let's say we are at the location of the Yama event. Fantastic. Good to have you all here. All right, so Lance says we are here, fantastic. God's time says we are ready, beautiful. So let's get right into today's session. I'm going to be having one of the amazing persons on board here, and his name is Fee Steven. So we're going to be having Fee Steven today. Good, it's good so much to have you here. Hi, Fee.
Okay. Hi. Can you hear me? Confirm that you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. So good to have you here today.
Amazing. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And the next person we're going to be having is Blessing Okebe. So, hi, Blessing.
Hi, can you hear me? Hi, Joma. Hi, Fee.
Yes, I can
How
hear
are
you.
you
So,
doing? You too.
Great to have you,
I am
Can you hear
Blessing.
me
fine. So
loud
good to
and
have you
clear?
here. I'm so excited. Yeah, so good to have you here. And the next person we're going to be having is Joyce, Chamaka Joyce. Hi, Chamaka. Can you hear?
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good evening.
Hi.
It's an honor to be
Good
here.
evening.
Hello.
We can hear you clearly. So good to have you
Hi.
here. Hi. So good to have you here. All right. So good. We're going to also be having one more person join us, and when he comes on board, I would get to join. So thank you so much to Fee, Blessing, Chamaka. Thank you for honoring this invitation. I am so excited to have you all here. We're also going to be having Nonso Unyejemezi. Hi, Nonso. Can you hear me clearly? Okay. Hi, Nonso. Can you hear me clearly?
Can you hear me?
Right. So probably you get to check your mic. Yeah, sure. I can hear you. So good to have you here today.
Yeah, I don't know. The
Fantastic.
platform is really is really stressing me. I don't know. Let me see if I can
I'm
show
so
my
sorry
camera.
about that.
All right.
Okay, great. Let's see. Fantastic. Good. So we have you aboard. So hope you can hear us clearly. If you can hear us and you're ready for today's session, let me see it in the comments. Okay. Hi, it's great to see you here. Thank you so much for coming on board. Thank you. Thank you. We can see you all. Hi, Adora. We can see you joining from Lagos. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Great. Greetings from Abuja. Fantastic. Greetings from Asaba. Amazing. So we have a lot of persons joining us today. So let's get right into today's session. First and first, I want to say thank you so much to our guests, and I will just get straight into the question. So first thing first, the question we have for today is going to go round, and I hope that we're able to give our contributions to it, as in a very short while, and share as much as we can. So one of the questions I asked those who joined us yesterday was that, what's the major thing or the major point in your life that helped you to accelerate? What was that point in your life that, or that major thing that you do that helped you to accelerate in your journey? Right, I'm going to be asking that same question to us today, and I'm going to start with Fee. Hi, Fee, can you hear me clearly?
Loud and clear, Victor. Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Okay.
can. So please, let's have it.
Okay. Yeah. So for me, it was mentorship. So uh, I, I was doing well. I had things that I considered results at the time. Doing well academically, really sound results were showing that. But for some reason, there were still a lot of things that I did not know. If I was operating with the level of knowledge I had back then, probably I would have been celebrated within the four walls of academic environments to a large extent. But then my impact in terms of those around me and even more publicly would have been very limited. So for me, growth started when I had and I'll call it an encounter, or when I built a relationship with my mentor, Mr. Elisha Mam. And by the way, he will be speaking at the YAMA Convention physically. So those that have not gotten tickets yet, the starting point of my transformation would be speaking physically. So you need to get your tickets,
Yeah.
right? So for me, that transformation started through mentorship. It started when I got to meet him. So I attended an event, Dicta, just like the Yama Convention, right? But I attended an event and I heard this man speak, and I was like, who is this? Like, where did you come from? Like, what type of what type of person is this? Right. And then I went to meet him and I was like, sir, can you teach me I want to learn how to speak like you. Like, how do you speak and you're giving so much wisdom and yet you're able to keep the audience with you for such a long period of time? He spoke for 7 hours. And at the end of 7 hours, people still did not want to leave the room. 7 hours, closed door meeting, right? And I went to meet him and I said, sir, can you teach me how to speak like you? And he told me something that changed my life. He said, Fee, I will not teach you how to speak. I'll teach you how to live, and then you will speak from your life. That was a very profound statement that I'll not teach you how to speak. I'll teach you how to live, and then you'll speak from your life. And that was what he did with me. So through mentorship, he took me through a process of lifestyle development. So the lifestyle I developed over that period of time has now become what is powering my ability to speak, my ability to do literally every other thing I'm doing. But for me, the starting point of my growth, my transformation was the system called mentorship. I think I'll just pause here so that people can talk. Yeah.
All right, so that's fantastic. We got that mentorship. Yesterday we had service, we had mentorship, we had learning, we had accountability, and Fee has given us another insight to it, another perspective to it, mentorship. And not just mentorship, because what a lot of people think mentorship is quite different from what mentorship really is. And I'm so excited that you gave an insight into what your mentor promised you and what you have turned out to be. And yes, we're going to be having Elisha Maman at YAMA Convention next Saturday in Abuja. So imagine meeting the person who turned the life of fear around. So find your way to YAMA Convention next Saturday, and I can't wait to see you there. So we're going to be pushing this ball over to Blessing. Hi, Blessing. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Please take it up.
Okay, so for me, I may not be able to pinpoint to an exact moment because honestly, it has been a combination of different experiences and moments for me. But I do remember when I just had to sit down and talk to myself and say that, see, blessing, there's no one coming to save you. You're the only choice and option you have. So I knew that if I didn't take charge of my life, if I didn't take charge of my growth, I was going to end up normal. I was going to end up average, and trust me, that's one of my greatest fears. So, and I knew that only I can pull that lever, only I can fuel that growth, right? So it just came from that moment where I was like, you know what, blessing, you're your only option. You just have to do this. And that started right from school. And in terms of the acceleration, so that was the moment I realized, but things that fueled the acceleration were the environments I put off in, the relationships I grew, the places I went to, right? So it was more like I created that physical, that social, and that emotional or mental that felt the acceleration. So yes, first it came with me telling myself the truth that there was no one coming to save me and I needed to take charge. And went ahead to create that environment or be in that environment that can fuel that acceleration. That's it for me.
Awesome. We got that. Now it's about that growth. It's about positioning yourself in an environment that allows for your growth. Positioning yourself in networks, in places, with people, at events. Talking about at events, I would love to share about a particular delegate of YAMA Convention in 2022 Lagos. Her name is Dr. Funaya. I like to talk about her because it's more like I followed her journey. And she would always say that YAMA Convention 2022 was the start of a new phase in her life because that was where she met that one person who helped her to see the possibility of launching what she currently does today. And today, that particular idea has blossomed into what it is today. And trust me, that decision cannot or wouldn't have happened if she had just stayed where she was. So you want to get into the right network, be with the right people, and find yourself in the right place. Thank you so much for that perspective, Blessing. Now we're going to push in this right to Chamaka Joyce. Hi, Chamaka. Can you hear me clearly?
Hello, I can hear you. Please, can you hear me as well?
Yes, I can. So good to have you here. You look so beautiful today.
Aw, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm grateful. Thank
All
you.
right, great. So please take it up from here.
All right, for me, when it comes to the most important decision, basically, that I have made that has moved me from the level of where I was to where I am right now and where definitely pushing me to where I want to be, basically. The first thing is I worked on my mindset. And it's something that if you know me well, you know I always scream about it. It's a mindset thing. Anything you want to have, anything you want to possess, anything at all starts with your what? Mindset. Who you will become, where you would go to, everything, your future, your success, your life, everything starts with your what? Mindset, right? So if you really want to move beyond that level where you are currently, let's say, for example, you're from a family that you're not well to do, you're an average income, you're earning averagely, there's no really much money, the Nigerian economy is disturbing you, you can't really afford to go to school, you can't really pay your bills, the money is not enough, all those things. Everything starts with your what? Mindset. So as a person, you have to make up your mind that you need to what? You need to move beyond this level. And movement, it's not just about words, it's about what? Action. That's how I put it. Action. I tell people that whatever you see, that's what you become. Whatever you see, that's what you get. Whatever you see, that's what you possess. Every single thing starts with your mindset. So when you talk about success, it's a mindset thing, right? I told someone, I said, yes, they invite me to speak on different platforms right now and all of that. The truth of the mind of the fact is I'm no longer, hey. No, I'm no longer super excited about it. And it's like, why? I'm like, I've seen it years ago. I've seen all those things years ago. So I'm no longer excited or puzzled or like all over the moon when I see those things. No, I'm not. The reason is simple. It's my mindset. I've seen myself there before years ago, and I'm there where I'm there now. So every single thing I did was because of what? That mindset shift. So what happened is I began to see. Once you begin to see, you begin to walk towards that path, right? So it's all about what? A mindset thing. Work on your mindset. I tell people that the Nigerian economy will not affect you if you believe and see and know that the Nigerian economy will not affect you. That's the thing. That's where it all starts from. So you as a person, the most important thing you need to do for yourself is to work on your mindset. I think it was crazy, but I always like to share it. I remember when I applied for a job, I passed through the stages, like I got through everything. So it was a foreign job, basically. thousands of dollars, right? I was supposed to be paid and all of that. And the lady got to find out, she asked me my name. Yes, I told her my full name anyway. She didn't really bother. Then the next thing she asked me is, what country are you from? I said, I'm in Nigeria. That was the end. The interview was blanked out. I never heard from them again. It was blanked out. That's how I lost it. Why? Because I'm a Nigerian. But it took me a while because I had to ask myself, is there really something wrong with me? Because I passed all the whole stages and processes. But why opportunity? And I had what? A mindset problem. I believe that because I'm a Nigerian in Nigeria, I couldn't get the opportunity. So it took me a while to actually move as a person that despite the fact I'm in Nigeria, I can attract global opportunities to myself. I can attract what? International jobs, applications, platforms, and different things. So it had to do with a what? Mindset shift. I think that's what I'm going to like hamper on and really like talk about because it's something that I want everybody to start working on. Start working on your mindset as a person and to take you places. Thank you.
Wow. We got that. Thank you so much for that, Joyce. We got that. Your mindset. Thank you so much. And when are we moving this to Nonso? Hi, Nonso. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me too?
Yeah, sure, I can. So good to see you today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Even though I had a whole lot of um, stress getting in from the back end, but yeah, it's good to be here. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you so much. Good evening. All right, so we asked the question about what was the point in your life where you experienced the growth, where you started to accelerate, and what was the major point? What was the major factor that aided that growth?
Oh, okay. Mine, I would say mine would be it's going to be a brief story. Like it was something that happened 2017. Then I was into computer maintenance. You know, I was fixing laptops in Port Harcourt. You know, and I never knew I never knew I would be doing any of these things I'm doing now, like create content, create a business online, and all of these things. I was just trying to survive, you know, by the day. And but being this kind of person that I read a lot, I know a lot when it comes to information because I've loved history while growing up. I've loved anything that has to do with information. I wouldn't say knowledge, I would say information. I just love what's happening here and everything. So on that fateful day, this guy comes to our shop and he wanted to, I think he wanted to upgrade his operating system. So we got talking and he stays in the UK. So he came to Nigeria for something. So where we got talking and I was telling him a couple of things about the UK parliamentary system, but he never knew about that. Like he never had an idea about that. So I was telling him those things, and we're having this conversation because I would always want to strike a conversation with the people that come around to fix their stuff, to fix their gadgets and everything. So we're having this conversation, and he looked at me like, "Said guy, you're too smart, you're too intelligent to be here. Like, why are you here? Like, how much do you make here?" I told him, sorry. So he said, "How much do you make here?" I told him, sorry, I'm coming. I'm having a little technical.
Okay. All right, so while we wait for Nonso to come back, because we must hear this story finish. Would love to hear this story. So while we come and wait for Nonso, let me just share just a bit into what I also shared yesterday. I got to a point in my life where I had an experience
I got to
of
a point
a
where
real job. Okay, so somebody's mic
I
is on.
had an experience of
Okay, Okay, I think that's Nonso's mic. Hi, Nonso. If you're close by, please. Okay, great. So I came to a point in my life where I needed to get a job, and that was actually during my internship for my diploma. And I searched for jobs, but some of the jobs that I got then were, those kind of petty jobs. And literally, I actually accepted one of those jobs, and it was for 6,000 naira. Yeah, and that was in 2016, 2017. But one of the things it taught me was I continue with who I currently was at that time, if I should graduate from the university, still being the same person that I was at that time, I was going to still face the same issue in the labor market. And so in 2018, that was actually when the whole thing turned around for me. I started paying attention to personal development. I started paying attention to learning extra skills. What are the things I can do to ensure that I get it right? What can I do to ensure that I don't become or remain the person that I currently am at this point? And so I found myself, you know getting into courses, taking programs that could help me, and that actually got me to the point where I currently am today, trying out a whole lot of things, working on my creative expressions and all of that. So you find out that there should be something, or most times there's going to be something that makes you, or that will make you to take that next best decision, that next step. And I think that's exactly it for me, right? So while we wait for no, so let's just go on with the second question. And the second question is that what has been the point of failure and that you've experienced in your career, in your business, and how were you able to navigate that such a way that you were able to go through that phase and still become who you currently are today? We're going to start with Fee.
Okay, so that's an interesting question. Because these are things that are most of the times reserved for smaller circle conversations, uh, because of how very technical they could be. But I'll talk about something that happened in 2020. So 2020 came with what was globally known as the COVID pandemic. And one of the things that happened at that time was that we had a lot of people that were business owners that could not do their business in the way they were used to because everybody was told to stay at home. So we are now at a time when suddenly those that were saying, leave all this online thing, it's not about being online and all those things. We're then looking for those of us that have been doing the online thing for a while. I'm a digital marketer professionally. So I started getting a lot of contacts, a lot of calls, a lot of clients at that time. And because it was a very pivotal time in my career, I did accept a good number of them. What then happened was, because of the level of work that I needed to do to deliver at my level of excellence, it became a bit of a challenge because I was having more clients that I could handle personally, and my agency was not as developed as it should be at the time, right? So that was like towards December or so, and then I read a book. I read a book called Essentialism. Essentialism: The Disciplined Pursuit of Less. Very amazing book. I recommend it as much as possible. It's called Essentialism. That book taught me how to trickle down things to the core things that matters. So if you're here right now and you're being overwhelmed, you're doing a lot of things left, right, and center, and you're not making any headway, any progress, I would definitely recommend that book for you. Right. But one of the things that book taught me was how to make sure that I am having. Oh, amazing. I can see that Blessing has the book with her right now. Um, yeah, it's such an amazing book, really. So if you can pick up that book, it helps you with overwhelm. So that overwhelm was something that I really needed to deal with. And I read that book and it gave me the deliverance I needed. And I reached out to my clients. I had to do a lot of reshuffling. I increased my prices. I had to drop some clients, and just a lot of things happened in that December of 2020. And by January, I had increased my prices, to something that was way higher than my current price, which of course I was able to charge because I had the value for that price. But January came and there were crickets, silence everywhere. My new price was not bringing clients. It was now higher than what most of the clients I had could afford at the time. So I went about a month and half of February without having a new client. And at some point I was thinking, was this too high? But then I stayed with it, right? I stayed with that pricing until one day, out of the blues, I get a call and say, "Oh, you're recommended for this. Someone said you're good at this." And I told the person my price. This is a business owner in Abuja. And I told her my price, and she said, "Oh, okay, sure, let's do it." And I was like, "Wow, okay, we're actually doing this, right?" And that was like the beginnings. Interestingly, that price I told her at the time, that was a lot. I think currently I charge almost seven times of that within that 2021 and now 2024. And still, we still have like, clients, right? So for me, a time that was characterized with some sort of setback was that period. Two kinds of setback. The first setback was the fact that I was struggling with delivering at the excellence that I have pegged myself with, because not because I don't know what to do, but because I have limited time. Then secondly, there was that period of a there was like a desert period of getting clientele that I had at that time. But yeah, I think it's just a period of it's just like a lesson of trying to know what exactly you should be doing part time and doing it, sticking to it, even when things are a bit tougher. Yeah.
Fantastic. We got that. Thank you so much for that perspective. Please let me know if my voice is well loud. Somebody spotted that my voice wasn't so loud or clear in the comment. Let me know if it's clear before I go on. Thank you so much for that perspective, Fee. We got that. The book, and it's also a book I also love, and I also recommend for anybody who needs to, read it. And then also the part where you talked about knowing that even at the point of failure, that point where you think you're failing, it might actually be that you're building the capacity to sustain that growth. And so it's not just about you saying, okay, because you've experienced a little bit of, delay, or a little bit of obstacle, you now decide to give up. And so just like fee, somebody needs to increase their price today and increase the value that they offer and still know that they are worth it, right? So thank you so much for that perspective, Fee. Now we're going to be moving this question to Chamaka Joyce. Hi, Chamaka.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure, I can. Please take it up.
All right. For me, I already talked about, I'm just going to continue that story, right? Where I lost the job opportunity because of the fact that I'm a Nigerian import. I think that was the most painful part, or is still the most, let me say, the, the point that my life really broke into two. Because if you know me, one of the things about me is that I like to work hard. You can insult anything. You can say she's not fine, she's not beautiful, her hair is this, her face is like this, or she doesn't eat, she doesn't do that. You can call me all sort of names. I don't mind, but don't talk about my work because I work so hard that sometimes I forget to do basic things and I just work. So my soul, my body is into my work. And the reason is basically this: anything we're doing is what we're doing very well. That's a mantra I live by. So that broke me, that shattered me because of the fact that I have been working hard. I have literally been preparing myself over the years. I've been reading, I'm a bookworm, I speak, I do this. So I'm building up myself. And here you are telling me that because I'm a Nigerian, I can't get this opportunity. And because I'm an African, it broke me down. It took me a while. I had to start asking myself a lot of questions, right? I know I'm black basically, but I don't sound black, right? So that may have given me an edge to, let's say, pass the screening process, the first interview, the second, before we got to that part of which country are you from and all of that, intricate parts and all of that. But what really is the problem? What exactly is wrong with me as a person that I can't breach this gap? I can't work here. What makes you get people think that I'm not qualified for this when I know that I am overqualified? For someone to pass the first interview, second interview, and the third interview, basically, that should show you how credible that person is. So I sat down. I had to tell myself something. It took me a while, like I said. I had to talk to friends. I had the best friends around. Yes, people that are CEO founders, entrepreneurs. I had a lot of people like work-oriented people, people where they were goal-driven. That's another part where your circle really matters as a person. If you know where you are going to as a person, you need to be very mindful about the people you hang around because sometimes life can hit you. Like it can hit you with a bullet from somewhere that you didn't even literally expect, and it will just break you, like it will just break into pieces. So I had them and they supported me. They had to cheer me on. You know, Chamaka, you have been on this stage before. You have spoken here. Remember how you got this application. Remember how much contract you got with this. Remember this foreign client you've worked with. Remember this testimonial. Remember this good works. They had to start throwing back those memories, right? That's one of the things that helped me heal that period. The second thing one of my friends said is the fact that this is, yes, you failed this. Yes, you failed to get this job. But guess what? You have learned something. And that is the fact that because you're a Nigerian and because you're an African, right, there's going to always be that stereotype. No matter how much you want to say, no matter how much you want to deny, Joyce, it's always going to be there. But what you are going to do is you are going to have to set yourself on a pedestal to always what stand out no matter what. And I start asking myself, how do I stand out? And that is for me to become a global talent. How do I become a global talent? I have to work hard on my skill set. I have to work hard on my what? On my finesse. When you now talk about my finesse, that has to do with my personality as a person. Because if you're a global talent, that means that you're not just working with Nigerians, you're also working with what? You're working with foreigners, international people, basically. You're working on the global scale, right? So that's to say that they're not going to judge you based on the normal criteria they use to judge everyone, basically. But they are judging you on a different frequency because you're on a different level and all of that. So I had to start working on myself. What did I do, basically? I started reading, right? More podcasts, more work, more grinding, more building, more skill stacking, right? When you talk about skill stacking, that's basically the fact that don't just have one skill set. If you're a graphics designer, make sure you add content writing here, right? Because where this skill is not here, this skill can augment and those skills complement each other, basically. That's it. So I started adding more skill set and all of that into it so that I don't just become someone who is what? You can't say she's not this, she's not that. There's no place you can fault it, right? And that's where mastery comes in. I became a master, basically. So when you talk about recruitment, jobs, CVs, right? I'm extremely good, like extremely good. You don't basically need to disturb yourself too much or stuff. All you have to do is, I already know someone. You don't even need to say too much. Oh, I want to hire, I want to get this. Tell Joyce. CVs, I want to get my Joyce, she's very good. Why? Because I have gained mastery. There is something about somebody rejecting you because of the fact that you're an African. What you do and you owe to yourself is to what? Sit down and become an extra version of yourself. That's push yourself so hard that nobody can compete with you on that level again. So whenever stuffs like that come in, the first person that just comes to mind is what? Is you. They can't help it. So when you see someone like me on some certain stages and all of that, it's not because I'm better than anybody, but because I have beaten myself, I have sparked myself. Let me use that. I've spanked myself so much that I must be so good that you cannot deny me an opportunity to stand out. And I must stand out. That's just it. So that's the most important part I think everybody needs to understand. So failure is something that don't be sad about it. Don't cry over it. Don't feel bad about it. Just what? Accept it, embrace it, and what? Work on that failure. So instead of that failure becoming failure per se, it motivates you to become what? A success and goal-driven person. You just fly. That's just it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Joyce. We got that. The part of mastery, beautiful, such that people should no longer reject you because you are not good. Now, the fact that they are rejecting you because of your location or because of their thoughts about a particular set of people, that can actually stand separately. But the moment they start rejecting you because of mastery, that's a problem. And so she talked about skill stacking, very important. So hi, no. So please let me confirm that you can hear me.
Yeah, I can. I'm back.
Fantastic. So good to have you back. So please continue your story and then you can jump into the next question, which is what was the point of failure? What has been that point of failure and how were you able to navigate that point? Thank you.
All right. So I stopped. So he was talking to me in a way that I didn't find funny. It was very harsh. So I'll tell. That's what I tell people sometimes. Sometimes it could be an embarrassment or an insult that will take you. You understand? That will make you to reconsider yourself. Maybe take some hard decisions in life. So he talked to me in a way that it was very hard. Like told me in my face, like you're wasting here. What are you doing here? You're wasting. With all this intelligence and everything. And maybe someone have not told me to that. People just tell me that, oh no, so you're smart, and that's it. But nobody told me in that manner. So I I was instantly depressed. At that point, just felt like make ground just open, make I enter. But he left and everything, and I got into the cab. I was on my way home. I was asking myself hard questions like, is this what you're going to do? Get married, build a house, and you know, get to be that person you feel you should have been. I was already a graduate. I was done with school, and I was just fixing laptops. You know, getting 2005K, maybe 10,000 maximum for each laptop I fix, and that was a turning point. So that day, that night, I was on my way home, and hot tears were gushing out of my eyes, like I was empty. I felt empty. I said, okay, I have to take a hard decision, and the decision is leaving my physical location. So sometimes it could be maybe you've taken a decision, but nothing is happening. You could just take a harder one. So that was what I said. Okay, I'm going to take a hard decision. I'll leave my physical location, go to somewhere else, somewhere far from Port Harcourt. I don't know where I'm going to. And it's a long story, but I'll have to cut it short. So I left Port Harcourt and I restarted my life all over again, like from zero. The only thing I had in my head, the only thing I know I could fall back to was the fact that I could pull words together. I know how to write. So that was how I came to the online space. Someone told me that wasn't when I was serving because I used my NYC to leave Port Harcourt. It was like an excuse for me to leave. So I left. Someone told me during the NYC camp that
Okay, hi no. So
okay, I don't know, there's this
yeah,
noise in the
hi
background.
Chamaka, please let's see. Okay, thank you so much. Please continue.
Okay. So someone told me that you're a good writer. I wrote a proposal for him and he got the grant. I did that, I think, after my second week after we left camp, because I've graduated 4 years before I went for service. Like, I didn't, it's a long story. So I used that opportunity. Okay, let me go for NYC. Let me just leave Port Harcourt with that. I went to school, sorted out issues I had in school because I had some issues in school, sorted it out. I was posted to Ibadan, and that was how I landed here. But my writing journey, that was a turning point. Then the writing came when I did the proposal for someone, and he told me that people write online and they make money. Maybe you should consider it. And that was how I came to the online space, not the social media space, the internet space. I came to the social media space around 2021. That was when I started creating content and everything. I never knew anything like content existed until 2021. So that was my turning point. It's a very lengthy story, but this is like the summary of it. Someone told me something that shattered my heart into pieces, and that was my turning point. So if you're listening to this, maybe that next insult or next embarrassment will be your turning point. Who knows? So that's it. What's the second question you mentioned? I sorry, I didn't get it. So I'm going to.
Okay. Yeah, can you hear me clearly now?
Okay, I can hear you.
Fantastic. So we
Yes.
talked about what was so that you experienced in your journey and how were you able to navigate it. Could be any. There are a lot of people who have experienced multiple. So just give us an insight into just to navigate it.
Okay. I would say it's a challenge. It was a challenge. I wouldn't call it a failure. I would say it's a challenge. 20, yeah, 2020. Then I started freelance writing in 2019. Then 2020, I had an agency. I had about five writers that were working for me, and I was receiving payments. I was working with these Australian clients, and they pay with PayPal. So they paid. I accumulated my earnings for I think, over 4 months. Yes, over 4 months. I was having issues with my payment processor and everything. So I created a new account, and they made the payment. I did the invoicing. I sent them the invoice. They made the payment, and the payment got stuck. You know, got stuck like big money. Got stuck. I think okay, it was like 6 months. 6 months accumulated earnings, and it got stuck, and that was crazy. It was crazy because I used to pay my writers before the money comes in, so I was the one at loss. I've already paid them. No one knew what happened. So that happened and it broke me down. But what I did was I said maybe this is this is an opportunity to find a solution to this problem, because that's been my attitude. I don't whine. I could just yeah, I'm human. Something happens, I'll break down because I'm human. But what I do is ask myself, so is there a solution to this? Sure, let's get the solution. So I went online doing a whole lot of digging, and trust me, I found the solution. And when I found the solution, I did a short, it was like a 20 minutes video showing how I did that, how I fixed that problem, and because my money was lost, like the account was frozen. So when I found the solution, I used it for like 3 months, confirmed it. I packaged it as a short video course, very short. And I went to, I'm a member of Black Hat World Forum. I went there, made money for adverts, and I sold the video. I sold it, and I made 8 times of that money that I lost from selling that video, until I think 2 years later, it stopped working, the solution. But yeah, that was it should be one of my biggest failures I could recall. All challenge is not failure actually. So that was how I scaled through that phase. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, let me know if you can hear me clearly, please.
Yeah, I can.
All right, great. Some persons are saying my voice is quite low in the comment section. All right, so but while at that, let's move this question right to Blessing. Hi, Blessing. Please take up.
All right, so I think one of the setbacks, because it's not my setback. One of the setbacks I had experienced in business was when I think it was a couple of years ago, and that was because I didn't put the right structures in place that could protect me and that could protect my. So the summary of what happened was that I lost a lot of money because I trusted a client in court. So I
Was
trusted.
that I lost a lot of it.
Can you hear me? So yes, because I trusted a
I
client.
trusted it
There's this
because
echo.
I trusted
Sorry.
it. There's echo, sorry.
Hi, Chamaka. Please, is your mic on? Okay. Blessing, please take up.
All right, so let me go on. So I trusted a client and was so passionate about the project and the work that when he wasn't, or when the person wasn't fulfilling the person's part of the agreement, I just kept on working. So I didn't put structures in place that could protect me from that, structures that were not based on my emotions, structures that were not based on my personal preferences or my personal affiliation with whoever it was. So what happened at the end was that we worked for months, and I was not just the only one working on the project. Um, I am I am my team members. So we worked for months, and at the end, the client couldn't fulfill his own end of the bargain, and I had to tap into my personal funds to be able to pay everyone else, and I lost a lot of money as a result of that. So what that taught me was that at the point I just closed down the business after that because I couldn't take it anymore, right? I was so hot, I was so broken, and it was a lot at that point. So, but what that taught, I needed to put structures that could protect my business from me and that could protect me from my business, because that business suffered because I couldn't let my personal emotions right aside and do the work. I was so invested and passionate, you understand, about the project. But if there were enough structures, like an accountability that says that if this doesn't happen, this is going to happen. It doesn't matter how I feel about the project, what is going to be done will be done. And also put structures in place that ensured that also protected me. So I put structures that protected the business from me, but that also protected me because I had to use my money to pay every other person. So I put pay financial structures in place that would ensure that wouldn't happen again, right? And I was able to bounce back great. But then it taught me a very, very valuable lesson about structures, about protecting yourself, about financial structures, about processes, about systems, right? And sometimes when I think about it, I'm like, oh well, we just keep moving. But that's one failure for them. That's one setback I had experienced, and it just taught me a lot about structure. So now we are back and we are better, and we are never going to let that happen again. So another thing I learned from that was that I think because I'm a spiritual person, right? I think I'm privileged to have learned that early, such that I don't learn that on a bigger scale, right? So I don't learn that, I don't make that mistake on a bigger scale. Yes, it was a lot of money, but I know it's small compared to what it may cost me in future if I didn't learn that. So I think some mistakes happen right now to teach you to teach you a lesson such that it protects you from bigger mistakes in the future, right? And that's one major thing I learned from. So smaller mistakes sometimes protect you from bigger mistakes in the future only if you learn from them now. So that's it for me.
Fantastic, fantastic. And that is so profound. I like to say that mistakes are not what you did wrongly. They are probably what you did that are right, but you did not do them the right way. And so, for every single mistake that we experience or that we encounter in the course of our business and in the course of our career, there is a lesson to learn from it. Thank you so much for that perspective, Blessing. So we're going to be moving this to Joyce. Hi, Joyce. Can you hear me clearly? Okay, so I can't hear you, Joyce. Can you hear me? No, I can't hear you. Okay, so probably you can try maybe stepping out of the studio and then coming in again. Let's see. All right. Great. So, one part of failure, just like I would always say, sometimes we're skeptical about failing, we're skeptical about making mistakes, And it is because there are some persons who feel like failure should not be part of them, right? Now, one of the perspective I usually have about failure is that it is an error to make the same mistake that somebody else has made in this period. So I believe that there are certain information that are available out there. For instance, you're hearing Blessing talk about systems and structures, but there is somebody who has a service business now who doesn't even have a service document. You have a service business, you don't even have a refund policy that tells what your business is looking like, what your refund policy looks like. You have a business, but you do not even have a proper document that states exactly what your business looks like. And there are no style, there are no guide for you. At the end of the day, you struggle because you do not have systems and structure. So there are certain mistakes that you do again because there is somebody who has made that mistake and has made that information available in the public domain. And that's exactly what the Young and More Africa platform looks like. We are so excited about sharing people's story, having established leaders and emerging leaders share their stories so that those who are coming after can pick up from their stories. And we are so excited. Thank you so much for that. Hi, Joyce. Can you hear me clearly now? Hi, Joyce. Can you hear me clearly? Okay, so I don't know why we can't hear you. No, we can't hear you. What can you hear me? Okay, there's some sort of echo from your end. It's echoing.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Good. Please take it off from here.
Sorry, I didn't get the question. What's the question, please?
Okay, so we've asked that what was that major point of failure that you experienced in your life and how were you able to navigate it?
I still didn't hear you properly. Maybe you can text me the question. I didn't hear you. I didn't catch that.
Okay, can you hear me
I
clearly
don't know
now?
why that is. Yes, I can hear you. Shoot.
Great. So I said that what was the major point of failure that you experienced in your journey and how were you able to navigate it?
I already answered that question where I talked about the fact that the job, the Nigerian thingy, and Nigerian
Oh,
element. So I've answered that question.
oh, great. Okay, so let's move to the next question for today. So, if you get to meet somebody who is struggling with clarity, for instance, somebody comes to you and say, "I don't know exactly what to do. I feel like my life is not going the right path, and I feel like I need clarity." What is going to be the next response you're going to give to that person?
I don't know why the line is bit. I don't know why it's breaking. So I can hear some parts. I can't hear some parts. What I heard is about clarity. I didn't hear any other things in
Okay,
between.
so if you get to meet
Maybe can
somebody,
you text the question?
okay, can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, I can.
Great. So if you get to meet somebody who is unsure about their path and they're struggling with clarity, what is going to be the next thing you're going to tell that person? What's going to be the advice or feedback you'd give to that person?
All right, when you talk about clarity, yeah, clarity is in different phases, basically, right? And people's challenges is in different phases as well. Do you understand? That's to say that you can suffer financially, you can suffer emotionally, you can suffer spiritually, you can suffer economically. Like, it's diverse, right? So when you want to know what exactly is wrong with someone, the first thing you need to actually understand or get to hear is what I do basically, right, is to actually listen. So I don't talk, I just what listen. The more information I can get from a person, the more do you get, the more clarity me as a person gets as to what exactly is their problem. So most times I tell people that, especially in the Nigerian system right now, and most Nigerians basically, it's not like they don't know what is wrong with them. Yes, it's not like they don't know how to fix their problems. This is me telling you. The truth is, what exactly is wrong with them? Sometimes they just need someone to listen to. So it's not really about advice. I tell people just drop that your advice somewhere. Sometimes people just want someone that can actually listen to them. So to calm down and actually listen. So I want to understand this question that I'm seeing in the chat. Is that the exact question you asked, or the first one, or the second one? I think Leah typed something out.
Okay.
Ijoma, can you see that?
Yeah, so let me see. Okay, so if you meet exactly, yeah, can you get that, Joyce? Okay, I think, can you hear me clearly, Blessing?
Yes, I can hear you.
So from there, take up from there.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me clearly? Okay, so the question about clarity is one that I really love to answer. The first thing I usually say is that, see, don't stress it. Nobody is honestly clear about exactly what they want to do, who they want to be, where they want to go. Nobody is clear about purpose. We are all on a journey trying to figure it out, right? But the only thing is that as you take one step, it just becomes clearer. It does not become clear, it becomes clearer. So clarity is a journey. Don't wait till you have it all figured out and you're like, okay, how do I do this? What do I do? What is my purpose? What is my vision? What is my, you will not get anything. You just stay in one place forever, right? But when you start doing things, when you start volunteering, engaging in some activities, you begin to discover more yourself, explore some of your passions, explore some of your skills, explore some of the things you love to do. And that's where clarity comes in. That's where you start thinking, okay, this is like, I really want to do this. It's like, I'm really passionate about this. So, and that's basically how it is. Clarity comes from you knowing more about yourself and knowing more about what your desires and passions are, because many times our purpose lies in our strengths. And how will you discover those strengths? When you do not expose yourself to places, platforms, opportunities that will uncover that strength in you, right? So don't stress it. Everybody you see that is doing great things, it's not like they have it all figured out. It's not like it has been God has given them a scroll and you're like, this is everything I want you to do, I take. No, right? Right now, I may not even know exactly what I'm doing. I may not know what exactly I want to do in 5 years, in 10 years. I dread those questions that say, who do you want to be? What's your 5 year plan? What's your 10 year plan? Because if you ask me honestly, I do not know. But I know one thing that is common is that I will definitely be a more advanced and better version of myself in 5 years, tomorrow, right? But to tell you specifically that this is what I do not know. So sometimes when you see people showing up, you think that they have it all figured out, that they know exactly what they are doing. We are just, most of us, we are just winging it. We just be like, okay, it's like this one will work, oh. It's like this one will not work. And then you now go towards a certain path, you now see it's not working, you now do a U-turn. And the thing is that most times these confusions will not be showcased online, because online we're talking about the beautiful stuff, the wins, right? So most of the struggles will not be showcased, and then you now start feeling less of yourself, like you don't know what you're doing. See, don't sweat it, don't think much about it, just work. What do you have in your hands now? What can you do now? Right? What can you do now? Do it, put it in action, and then put yourself. And that I talked about environments earlier. There are systems, there are environments that foster clarity. There are environments that helps you get clearer. Put yourself in those environments. YAMA Convention is one of them. When you come, you learn from people, you learn other people's experiences. That's how clarity comes. As you're investing in yourself, as you're investing in your personal or professional development, clarity comes. And it is to never get to a point where you're, even when you're 80 something years old, it's not like you're very clear on what you want to do, like you're crystal clear. But the thing is that you'll be definitely clearer than you were yesterday. So what I'm saying is this: clarity is a journey. And if you want to keep being clearer about what you want to do, invest in yourself. Be in environments that stimulates, that exposes that exposes your skills, that exposes you, that exposes your passions and your desires, and then that if that develops your skills, that nurtures it and everything, and that is how clarity comes. All right, so that's it for me.
Thank you so much for that blessing. We got that. You have to be each day projects you to, or presents you with something that makes you have a clearer journey, aggressive age of clarity. And like Blessing said, you think that you actually attain clarity, to get to a point like, there's still something more to do, there is still something more to achieve. And so I'm so excited about that perspective. Blessing, thank you so much. So we're going to be moving this question to Nonso. Hi Nonso, can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can. Can you
Yes,
hear
I
me?
can. So please take it up from there. The question is, if you meet somebody who is struggling with clarity, what is going to be the next best decision or advice you give to that person?
All right. First off, I would compliment Blessing for, like, she said a couple of things I wanted to say. So I'll compliment her for that. We can be clear. We can be 100% clear till we exit this earth. Like, till we leave this world, it's not possible. You understand? Because the moment you become clear about everything, that means your life is, you've ended your life. And you're not doing anything on this earth anymore. So for the fact that you're not 100% clear, that's what life is about. That's the fun of life. That's what makes life interesting, you know. But going back to the question, I think I would always tell people, because I do a whole lot of clarity sections with people. What I won't call it an advice. What I tell them to try out, because any any path could lead to a destination. You know, you could pass through Lagos and go to Kano. You could pass through some other state and go to Kano, but we're all going to go to Kano. So I'm not going to say that this is the only thing that works. But what I do is, when you're so confused about the next step to take, because sometimes we could just tell people, just take the next step, and they really don't even know what the next step is, because that's another conversation. So what next step should I take? If you tell me, take the next step, go back to what has worked before for you. Go back to, take a sheet of paper. If you're listening to this, take a sheet of paper and write everything you've done in your life, everything from your skills to your talent. It could just be anything. You know how to play the guitar, you know how to cook, voice, anything you've done before, anything people have told you that there's nobody, no one on earth that someone has not told them that you're good at this. I don't know if that kind of person exists. You would realize that people see what we don't see. So someone would have told you at one point in your life that you're good at organizing parties, you're good at organizing events, you're good at, you have a good voice, you have a great voice, you have a fine face, you have a beautiful face, you, you know how to write so well, you know how to edit, you know how to put data together. That means you could be good at data analysis. All of these things, put them down on a piece of paper. Everything you've done, put them down. When you put them down, you're going to see how much you know, first of all. Then you pick one of those things. The reason why I'm saying this is so that you, you know, when it's as a newbie or as a beginner with almost zero um, experience, right? You're going to get stuck in most cases. I'm not saying in all cases. So what you do is go back to something that has worked. When you go back to something that has worked, it's easier for you to pick up from where you did that stuff last. It could be it could be that you've worked as an accountant maybe for 4 years in the firm. Just go back to that. What you're going to do now, you could now say, I'm going to find accounting jobs online. Maybe I want to be doing record keeping for people. That could be the next step because we're talking about take the first step. That could be the first step you're taking. Part of clarity, especially in this part of the world, requires money. So some people, the clarity they are talking about is really not that they want to go to their dream, they want to hit. No, they just need to find something that they could make money with for now. Maybe that clarity could be finances. Who knows? Because part of this clarity is the fact that people struggle. They can't even feed. So someone that can feed doesn't think straight. Anything you're telling the person doesn't go to their head. So the person just needs something they could use to take that first step. If you're that person listening to this, go back to what has worked for you. What you're now going to do is when you write that your sheet, that your long list, because you're going to be amazed at how much you know. I did it. I told a lot of people to do it. When you write that long sheet, pick something from it. Pick it and tell yourself that in 12 months, I'm going to build around this. This is what? Writing. When I came to the online space, I learned nothing. Nothing for the first 3 years. I went deeply into writing and I didn't learn how to write because I was already writing. So before I came to the online space, I had writing. So what I did was got back to writing, then came with something I had. I wasn't looking everywhere for something new. Interestingly, there is nothing new online. Everything we do online, we have an offline version of it. From writing to e-commerce to affiliate marketing, they all have their offline versions. So come with yours. That thing that you're interested in, that thing that someone is telling you that come and buy this course and everything, it was their own thing that they brought to the online space. That means if you bring yours to the online space, you could do the same thing that they are doing. You could tell people, come, let me teach you this. It could be that the person was a graphic designer, the person has eyes for graphics and everything. Then the person brought it to the online space, built a personal brand around it, and the person created a course and started selling. And you feel that that is everything. If I don't learn graphic design, I'm going to die. Meanwhile, you have a lot of talent. I'm going to I'm going to round up with this story. It's a very short story because of time. This guy, he reached out to me on Facebook. He's a he's a broadcaster. You understand? He does broadcasting. He's an OAP. Reached out to me and he told me that he needs something else to do. And he's been broadcasting for 10 years. So when he told me I need something else to do, like I need to make extra income, I said, how about you make income and extra income inside what you're doing? You work in the radio station. How about going away from the radio station and still use the same thing in your head, which is your voice? And find something and build around your voice. He said, wow, that makes a lot of sense. I said, okay, go to your social media platform and start teaching people voiceover. You're going to get gigs, you're going to teach people, you're going to build your personal brand, you're going to do a lot from what you know already. Because I can't tell you, go and do e commerce or go and do affiliate marketing. I'm telling you, start with the voice because you've been an OAP for 8 years, going to 10 years. That's not child's play. That's a lot. And Nonso doesn't even have that kind of skill. I don't have that gift, the gift of voiceover and all of those things, but you have it. So let's start from there. And he did it in I think 4 to 5 months. He got his first gig from a social media page, and he was paid 120K for a 5 minutes voiceover. Now the interesting part was the person that paid him that amount of money, that money, was someone that has known him for about 5 to 6 years. But he didn't tell anybody that he could do that. But the moment he told people that he started sharing on his timeline and everything, I told him do short videos, share those videos. People would be interested because they could hear your beautiful voice, right? And that was it. So clarity, just go back to something that has worked for you. It might not be something that worked successfully. It could be something you tried. It's a skill, it's a talent, it's a gift. Pick it, build around it for 12 months. Forget all of the noise and everything, all of the come and buy courses, all of this coaching, and then just keep it aside. You could pay a coach, you could pay someone to structure you, you understand, so that you're going to build in the right way. But don't deviate from that thing. It's easier going back to something you know you've done before than trying to do something new. The reason why you're struggling, you're still looking for clarity is because you need something you've not done before. Then from there, when you've gotten some kind of success, maybe you've made money and everything, the next phase of clarity is going to be easier because you're now using money to seek clarity. Because that's another phase. You need to pay mentors and all of these people. You don't pay them with your saliva, you pay them with money. So get past the survival phase with what you know, then get to the next phase and pay anybody. The clarity is now going to make a whole lot of sense. So I think that should be my take. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. We got that. And just to answer this question, I like to say that we are in a progressive journey. And so when we talk about accelerating, just like the theme of this year's event, I like to say that in your current level, there is an opportunity to move, there's an opportunity to accelerate. The problem with most people is that we have this founders fallacy that makes you think that if you start something, that could only be the thing you should do. For instance, there are people who are currently doing things that they do not or they are not supposed to do. And so when you ask them, they will say, okay, this is exactly what I got clarity on. However, it could actually be what you got comfort in. That's what you feel comfortable doing. So you hide it and mask it under clarity. When we talk about clarity, we mean that you're moving, you're growing. Clarity could mean pivoting into another field, pivoting into another industry. It could mean creating streams of income in your current industry. It could mean learning how to grow and expand in your field. It could be mastery. Clarity doesn't have to involve a movement. It could be mastery, mastery in one thing, growing in that thing. And so I hope that you're able to get this lesson today. So if you're somebody who is struggling with clarity, you are unsure of where you're going to, please understand that clarity for me could mean something else for you. You must know where your point is. You must know where you currently are in your journey so that you can be able to pivot or you can be able to move or expand or go deep. Like to say go deep because there are certain times you feel like you need to move, but you need to pause, go deep before you go wide. Thank you so much, Blessing. Thank you so much, Nonso. Thank you so much, Chamaka, for this perspective you brought to this question. And so while we are there, I would love to talk more again about YAMA Convention, and I hope that you are able to get it. So please So good to have us back again. All right, so we're going to move to the next question, but before that, I would want you to get your tickets to YAMA Convention happening next Saturday in Abuja. The details about this event is scrolling on the screen. You can see it there below the screen. So please get your tickets, find yourself to this event, and most especially if you can travel, you can always sign up for the virtual attendance. I look forward to seeing you either in person or virtually. And now let's get on to almost the last question for today, which is something that I like to say most times the struggle we usually have in our journey is that we some point of discomfort, but we are not certain, we are not sure about what it looks like. And so I'm going to get a particular question that I asked yesterday, and I would ask it the same our guest yesterday. And so the question is, what is the point of balance? Okay, it says taking bold risk with ensuring long-term sustainability. So how do taking bold risk with ensuring long-term sustainability? We're going to start with non clearly.
Yes, I can hear you. Okay,
Click from there.
so the question is, how do we balance boldness,
Taking
taking a bold step?
bold risk
Okay,
and
bold risk.
ensuring
Okay,
long-term sustainability.
okay. My take on risk is, I think I listened to the section yesterday, part of it when I got home. So um, we talked a lot about risk taking and everything. I I've always believed in risk. I've taken a whole lot of risk, like bold, crazy ones, and some some of the risks they turned out well, some didn't. But it's not about the one that turned out well or the one that didn't. It's about the fact that you took it, but it must be a calculated risk. Almost everyone listening to this would have heard what taking a calculated risk is, and I'm saying it all over again. A calculated risk is not a careful risk. We need to differentiate them. Because if we're being too careful, then we are likely not to take any kind of risk. And then the hardest place, the height of your success, where you're aiming at, what could push you to that place is being abnormal. You need to, you can be normal. And when you're abnormal, an abnormal person doesn't act like everyone else does, you know. So you need to be taking a bold risk means that you're a disruptor, just like IJ is holding this conference, and IJ would have said stuff like, I wish people could bring the conference to my city. I wish. I wish they could just bring it to Lagos, or I wish they could bring it to Abuja, or I wish they could bring it to Port Harcourt because I live in Port Harcourt. Oh, how I wish. But IJ, what did she do? She did it in her location. She said, I am not going to wait for people to bring it down here. I'm going to do it here. So she's a disruptor. That's how I want to paint the whole thing. And it's a risk she took, but it's not a risk that she woke up and say, everybody come to this conference and that's it. No. She took a bold risk, but the risk was calculated. She knew the right people to reach out to. She knew the right people to bring to the conference. Maybe when she started, she didn't have this much clarity, but she kicked it off. It was a bold one, right? So I'm using this conference as an instance. And For me, taking a couple of bold risks, relocating from my location, leaving everything I had, came here with nothing, started from zero, and age was not on my side. It was not as if I was maybe one teenager or maybe I was really in my 20s. I've even crossed 30. You understand? When I started all over again. So I started all over again. It was a bold risk, but it was calculated because I knew that, hey, this is what I'm likely to do, the maintenance world. I'm not going back to this. This is where I'm going to. That's where the calculation comes in. And then for the sustainability, when you when I took the bold risk, I was looking at the fact that if I come to the online space, after I'm done with writing, I'm not going to do freelance writing for a long time. I knew that I just needed to use it to get past the first phase, which I did between 2019, 2020, 2021 beginning. I said, okay, I'm going to help people to start selling their assets, their online digital assets. I'm going to help people to sell their businesses. That was how I got into brokering businesses, And trust me, it was a new industry. I've never heard of it before. Like to me, it was new. But I did it. It was a risk I took. It was a bold risk. I did it for a year, 2020, January till around December, and I was confused, you know. And I spoke with someone, a senior broker, someone that has been doing the business for long. I paid him, and then we jumped on a clarity call, I think for like 10, 15 minutes. And he told me one thing that changed the whole game for me. I now knew that this was what I'm going to do in the long term. Now, my interest was to start selling businesses that are in the United States from Nigeria, but it wasn't working. I tried over, I've tried it severally. It wasn't working. So I said, I need to bring it home. I need to start selling businesses here in Nigeria. You understand? So I don't want to go out there and find a way to penetrate the US market while I'm here in Nigeria. I needed a license to sell a business in the US. I needed to be there physically and everything. I said, why don't I do it here at home? And that was when the whole, I think that was 3 months ago because it was crazy. So I took that decision. So that's like the long term that I'm looking at. But if I never took the first risk, which was leaving Port Harcourt, the second risk, which was shutting down my agency, I had to shut down my agency because I knew the time was up. I'm talking about my writing agency. That was a risk. Shut it down, told my writers that, hey, we're not doing this anymore. We've done this for a long time. I need to move on to something else, something bigger. That's a risk. It was a bold risk because I was out of cash for like 6 months, and it was hell. But if I didn't do that, I would not be where I am today. And I will not be where I'm about to go to because I have this big stuff, doing a whole lot. I'm into AI, I'm building SaaS, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I would never be here. So that's like, I think that's like my take on that. I don't know if that answered the question. Thank you.
Yes, it did. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that perspective. A lot of persons think that when it comes to taking certain bold risk, that they have to be clear first, right? And I love the part where you said that you were able to move. You took that bold risk even when you were not sure. And for some persons, they could not take risk because they're not even able to spot out which is a calculated risk and which of them is not a well calculated risk. So before you take a risk, you want to check out if it's a calculated risk or not. Hi Blessing, please take it off from here.
Okay, for me, when it comes to risk, there are many things I think about, but I think the top four I'm going to talk about is first. I think about the future, right? I think about, okay, if I do this now, it turns out well, what will the future be like for me? I paint that scenario in my head. And I say, if I and it turns out wrong, what would the future be like for me? Now, on that second one, I imagine all the worst case scenarios. I imagine the worst of the worst, right? Be like, if this doesn't turn, so if it turns out worse, I let that motivation drive me, right? Okay, is if this risk I'm about to take, if it's something that turns out well, this is where I could be. This is what I would have done. I let that motivation drive. Then secondly, I look at the part, right? So if it doesn't work out, what are the worst scenarios, right? And when I think about all the worst scenarios, I ask myself, listen, will you be able to survive this? Yes, it will be difficult, but will you be able to survive this? And the answer is usually yes, right? Because I think one reason a lot of us are afraid of taking risks, apart from unless that risk is something that would risk your life or someone's life, that no risk is worth taking that will risk your life or someone's life. But mostly the worst scenarios are actually related to money. Maybe you're going to lose a lot of money either for your business or whatever it is. And I've learned to have a an intentional detachment from money, because money is currency. It would always come back, like it would always come back. So me before, if I get money, it would be difficult for that money to leave me, because it will feel like a part of me has left me alone with that money. But then I had to sit myself and say, blessing, see, this thing cannot be controlling you this way. Money will come, money will go, nothing will happen. So if it's that I'm going to lose a lot of money and that's the worst scenario, and I know it's something I can bounce back on, it might be difficult, I might take time, then no problem if the long-term possible reward is greater than it. Right? So that detachment from money, knowing that money will always come back, and money that you made in 10 years can come back in 1 year. So that detachment from it is something that is helping me, is something that helps me, right? And the next thing is I ask myself, listen, is it better for you to lose your time or to lose money? And trust me, time is much more valuable than money, because with time you can make much more money, right? And if you keep delaying yourself and saying that I'm too afraid to do this because I don't know how it's going to be, I may lose a lot of money, you're losing time already. Because if you were supposed to get where you should be in 5 years, because you've not started what you're supposed to do, you're going to get to 5 years and you're still the same person you were. So you've lost time, and time is the most valuable asset anybody can own. It's something that God has blessed us with. The poor have it, the rich have it, determines the outcome of your life. So what are you doing with your time? So I asked myself, do I rather lose time or do I rather lose money? I rather lose money than I lose time. Because I know with time I can recover that money 100 fold. So instead of me to say, okay, I think this is going to take time, this might not turn out well, and then because of that, I not keep staying where I am, right? I waste my time where I should have been in 2 to 3 years. I'm still the same place because I was too afraid to move out of my comfort zone and take risks. It's not good. So that then when I think about it that way, it just pushes me and be like, blessing, you know what? What if it turns out wrong? What's the worst possible scenario? It's not like if it turns out wrong, that if something turns out wrong, it has actually left you better because you've learned the lessons, you're wiser, you're more experienced, and of course, you can do a lot of things without your experience. People are cashing out from their failures, people are motivating, coaching, consulting from their failures. Would they have those failures if they did not take those risks? Right? Would they have those failures if they didn't fail? Right? So a lot of people, like I saw this video, I think it's a video from I think Vusi, and it was like, I'm not looking for people who have succeeded, I'm looking for people who have failed multiple times. Because if you failed multiple times, that means you've done a lot of things, you've done multiple things that took you out of your comfort zone. And yes, you may have failed, but you kept doing and you failed again, and you will eventually succeed. So if it fails, and so I can cash out from my failure, I can teach other people from my failures. That my failure can be a story. So I rather lose money than I lose time. So if this is what it's going to take, I go with it. If it happens, thank God. If it doesn't happen or something, it's not like I lose out entirely. I still make, the only thing I may lose at that moment is a lot of money, just like I told you when I started for my business. But I can still recover it based on my experiences. So that's how I think about it when it's talking about taking risks and sustainability. So I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that perspective, Blessing. Understanding that what would be the worst case scenario? What could actually happen? If you take this bold move, this is the worst thing that would happen. And so if you know that you can actually, take that step, and regardless of what is going to come up, you'll be able to still sort your way out as long as you do something. Thank you so much for that perspective, Blessing. And to also add to what Nonso said, I think we heard when Nonso said something about that he was already past 30 when he took that bold move. There is somebody here, you're asking yourself, how can I move? I'm already 30, I'm already 35. Just like I hear people who say, when we talk to them about the Young and More Africa Convention, it's for young people. Now, that's a perspective that most people fail to understand. That the fact that something is said that is young, it doesn't mean that it's age restricted. And so, what the idea around the whole Young and More Africa thing is that, regardless of your age, you can actually do what you want to do. You can do it whether you're 45, you can do it, and you can do it well. You can be young and more. You can get into advanced age and you can still do what you want to do, right? And so, if you are somebody who is thinking about your life at this moment and you're saying, what I'm currently doing now, I'm not certain, I'm 35, I'm 40, these things you're saying now is because you're still young. No, that's not the idea. The point is that you can do it, you can take that step now that you can. Tomorrow might be so late, you don't want to wait till tomorrow. They said that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time to plant is now. So I hope that you take that action, you take that bold step, and you are able to move. Thank you so much for that perspective. Um, I really appreciate you. And with this, we are inviting you once again to YAMA Convention 2023. 2024. We're in 2024, right? So we're inviting you to YAMA Convention 2024. And as you can see on the screen, we have amazing speakers who are going to be there live, right? And I know you've heard some of these speakers shared a lot from yesterday's session. You heard a lot of amazing information, you caught Rema from yesterday's session, and today you're already blown away. Tomorrow we're going to be having another set of people. Now imagine what it would be like to be in the same room with these people you can see on the screen. We're going to be having Elisha Maman, Dr. Nina Samuel, Engineer Chidomerin Dubisi, Carissa Caleb, Chimeze Okeke, Gloria Alado, Olani Ishoyinka, Chinaza Favor, and Car. So imagine being in the same room with these people. They are all going to be present in person. So find your way to the meeting place, the meeting point event center. Was that correct? The meeting place event center. I don't know if I got that correctly, please. At Gudu, right? And you will be able to, get the experience. You don't want to miss this. Please go to our website. Our website is www.sewinafrica.com. So go to the website www.sewinafrica.com/yama. When you go to that website, you will be able to see the ticket options that are available. So that website is on the screen now. Go there, you would see the ticket options that are available for physical attendance and for virtual attendance. Get yourself to this event. I can't wait to see you. The tickets are getting sold out and you don't want to miss out on that. And on the Sunday, we're going to be having an executive business masterclass, and that is open only to those who get the platinum ticket or the diamond ticket. So first of all, go to this website so that you can get all the information that are needed for this, right? And I hope that you don't miss out on this. The event is going to be happening next week, Saturday, in Abuja. Invite somebody, tell somebody about it. get yourself to the event. I can't wait to see you, and all of that. So let's get right into the final phase of today's conversation, right? And our conversation today is okay. Fantastic. So, the last question for today is, what is that one word that you're going to leave for us today? What is that one word you want to leave for us today? I'm going to be starting with Noso. Hi, Noso.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I can hear you.
All right. All right. Thank you. My last word is going to be simple. There is something you could start with. There is something you could start with. There is something you have that you can start with. You you don't need all the you don't need like a perfect blueprint, like a master plan, one big master plan like the master plan of Nigeria, or the master plan of Africa, or the master plan of Lagos states. You don't need that kind of plan to make your first move. You know, there is a story. I love that story so much. I think it's a fairy tale. The fairy tale. The story is about this little boy and his donkey. You know, one way or the other, they found themselves they were in the forest, and then it was dark. So the little boy, okay, and his horse. I think not donkey or horse, and it was getting dark, and the boy told the horse or the donkey and say the boy told the donkey that I don't know, I can't see far. I can't see what is really ahead of us, like steps ahead of us. I can't see far. And then the donkey said to the boy, but can you see the next step ahead of you? Can you just take that step? Can you see what's ahead of you? He said yes. Then he said, take that step first of all, you know. And with that step, he could now be able to see the next step, to now be able to see the next step. It could take them maybe a longer time, but they would be out of the jungle if they could just take one step at a time. But if the boy and the donkey is now focused on the 1,000 steps ahead, then they would possibly not leave the jungle, right? So you have this big plan ahead of you. It's a very big plan. Big plan, you want to be the biggest, you want to be like Amazon, you want to be the next Facebook founder and all of those things. Beautiful, it's awesome. No one is against that. But please, there is a phase, so that you're not going to be stuck with the big picture, and you're not doing the stuff, the little things you're supposed to be doing to move, to take that first step. So the big picture is awesome, but the little things put together are the things that make the big picture. The big picture doesn't come on its own. There is nobody that created one big picture on their own. Little components of things here and there, things from here, this experience, this knowledge, these little bits, tiny bits, the same way you see molecules in water. If you check the chemistry of, I think, physics or chemistry of how water is being, you realize that water is made up of molecules. Water doesn't exist on its own. The same thing with the gadgets we're using, the phone. If you have to open up your phone, you realize that they have components inside. All of those tiny components put together is why the phone is functional. So you need components, bits put together, so that you're now going to that when it's being put together, it now becomes your big dream. You understand? So as much as you're dreaming big, please try and be realistic. And being realistic means that What's the next? What do you have now? What can you do today? Not about what you can do when you're 50 or what you can do. No, what can you do right away so that you move from here? You move from point A to point B. What can you do right away? And what I'd advise you, I'm not telling you to learn from the big guys. Sorry, I'm not telling you not to learn from the people 100 steps ahead of you. You could learn from them. But I'll tell you, when you're a beginner, when you're struggling, the best people you could learn practically from, mark my word, I say practically, the best people you could learn practically from are those that are one or two or 10 steps ahead of you. First of all, you could access them easily. You could, if you're making 10,000 and they're making 100,000, that someone that is making 100,000 when you're making 10,000 is just a couple steps ahead of you, maybe one or two steps, right? Learn from that person so you could move from 10 to 100. You're not going to be earning 10,000 and you want to start earning 100 million like the person that has been earning 100 million for 10 years. That's where you get stuck. Be realistic. Learn from people a couple of steps ahead of you. You are going to see the results. You're going to get progress. It's going to happen before your eyes. I didn't say you shouldn't learn from those thousands of steps ahead of you, but don't be focused on that so that you don't get stuck. Learn from those a couple of steps ahead of you. Before you know it, it could be in 1 year or 2 years, you could be able to 1,000 steps ahead of you. Because if you want to learn from those 1,000 steps ahead of you, you need to pay them. In 99% of the cases, you're going to pay them. You don't have that money today. So what do you do? You could afford someone that makes 100K when you're making 10,000. You could maybe it could be that they could teach you how to make 100K by paying them 10,000. Learn from that person. From there, learn from the person that is earning 500,000 because you're now earning 100. From there, you could say, okay, I want to learn from the person earning 5 million. You could do all of this in 1 year and you will have direction so that you're not chasing shadows. I'm a realist. I don't want to tell you all the sweet things. I'm telling you how these things work so that you don't get stuck. So take one step with what you have at hand. Learn from those that are not too far ahead of from you. Learn practically from them and try to break down anything you're doing into tiny bits. So you have this thing you want to do. You want to write a book and it's 100,000 words. Don't try to do it in 1 week or try to do it in 2 days. You could say, I'm going to write 500 words every day. That's how to break down stuff. Then lastly, I think I'm taking so much time. Lastly, learn the game of numbers. You understand? When you learn numbers, you're going to scale. You're going to move easily, right? When you by numbers, I'm talking about learn how to break down things into numbers. So if you're aiming to make 2 million in a month, how do you break it into numbers so it becomes realistic? You're aiming to make 2 million in a month. You're now going to tell yourself, okay, I'm a graphic designer. How many clients do I need to get in a month to make 2 million? Okay, I need um, 20 clients that will be paying me 50,000 or that will be paying me 100,000. Okay, that means in a week, I need to reach out to 5 people. I need to reach out to 10 people so that I can get one person that I'm going. So you break it down this way so that you have a clear path. So that in a day, you're not trying to reach out to 1 million people. You know that when you wake up in the day, you reach out to 5 people. If 5 people were the number of people you wanted to reach out to get to 2 million in a month. If it's 10 million, you break it down. Learn how to use numbers. Learn how to press and calculate, put things together with numbers. All of these things will give you the next step to go ahead. So I think that should be my last words. Thank you.
So much for that, non. So we got that. You share the part of breaking things down and also ensuring that stand where you just take action without knowing exactly exactly where you're going. Thank you so much for that. And also understanding numbers. I like to, if you want to make 100 naira in 1 week and you have a product of 10,000 naira, you just need to sell to 10 people. Just same. If you understand the game of numbers, you are good to go. Thank you so much for that. So, over
Okay, so what I'm about to say is something I want everyone to actually pay careful attention to because it's not something I really say very often. And it's the fact that it's something I start with saying, don't trust yourself. I'm going to repeat that again. Don't trust yourself. Believe in yourself, but don't trust yourself. Create systems and structures outside of you that you hand the authority over to bring out the best version of yourself. It's not about discipline, right? It's not about saying, I trust that I will do this. I trust that I'm going to get this done. No, you've been trusting yourself. How far has it gotten you? But when you create structures outside of you, that you've given that power to bring out that best version of you, you have to submit to those structures. Atomic Habits, James Clear said that you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So, what systems are you putting outside of you that you've given that authority over and say, see, this is what I want to achieve through you? Make sure I get it done. It can be people. It's mostly people, actually. It can be people, it can be things. For example, now, an example of a system you can create around yourself is an accountability partner. And you tell this accountability partner that, see, this is what I want to get done. I give you the authority to make sure I get it done. If I don't get it done, these are the consequences that you have every right to carry out on me. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So you believe in yourself that you can do this. You believe in yourself that you can achieve this, that you can achieve this goal. But don't trust yourself to get it done. Because if you trust yourself, you may probably not get it done. Honestly, not a lot of us are disciplined enough to do what it actually takes to be successful. So create structures and systems outside of you that you've given the power to make sure that whatever it is that you set, that you achieve it. Like I said, it can be persons. It can be someone pulling you out to be in an environment. It can be environment. It's not even to be in an environment. It can be environments like the YAMA Convention, right? Where you have no power over what you're listening to because you know that anything you're listening to at that place is definitely going to change your life. So it can be someone that you say, see, any event that is making that makes sense in Abuja, make sure that I go to that event. You have every power and authority. If I don't go, make sure this happens. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's okay to believe in yourself, but create systems around yourself that gets the job done, that succumbs you, right? And like I said, it's not about the big goals, the big visions. The If you don't create process and structures that will make that happen, you're going to be the same place you were yesterday, day before yesterday, and the day before that. So I'll end with what I said. Believe in yourself to achieve anything you want to achieve, but don't trust yourself to do it. Create structures around yourself, create systems around yourself that will give you no choice but to do it. Thank you. God bless you.
so much for that blessing. That was beautiful. Create systems to do, submit to somebody, get accountability partners. You cannot do life alone. Get yourself into circles, get yourself into networks that will no, get your growth up there, that would help you to accelerate, that will propel you to win. Get yourself into places that the right kind of people would be found there. A whole lot. And I hope that you run with all that you have heard today. Thank you so much to all our speakers. Thank you so much, Blessing. Thank you, Nonso. Blessing is one amazing communications professional that if you want to go into the field of media and communication, you should follow Blessing. She is good at her game. Well done so much, sis. So good to know you and to have you in our generation. Thank you so much to Nonso. Nonso is one person I said, if you feel like you are demotivated, you need to follow Nonso and read from him. Just a day or two, and your mind will be like, wow, where have I been all this while? Amazing person. He heals with his words. So I hope that you follow him and learn more from him. Thank you so much for being here. So much for the honor of having you. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
So thank you so much
Thank you so much
to
to
Chamaka Joyce.
Tamaka Joyce.
Okay.
Okay.
Noso, is your
No, so
mic
is your
on?
mic on?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much to Chamaka Joyce. Fantastic, fantastic leader. I met Chamaka on LinkedIn, and she's one amazing person that when you read from her, you get so wowed by the work she does in the corporate communications part, in the um, corporate world. Yeah. So well done so much on the work you do, and I really appreciate you. Also, a big thank you so much to my brother Fee Steven. Fee is my G. There are people who they are in your life and they bring so much beauty to your life. Thank you so much, Fee, for the amazing work you do behind the scene. And thank you for always showing up whenever we call on you. I give sincere appreciation to our volunteers, to the team that has made this possible, people who are working behind the scene to ensure that we have a beautiful experience. Thank you so much to the executive team for YAMA Convention 2024 and to our volunteers team. Thank you. And I can't wait to have you all at YAMA Convention 2024 physical conference in Abuja. And this is where it's going to be happening on the 2nd of November at Gudu in Abuja. We're going to be having Elisha Maman, Barrister Nina, Engineer Chidomere Ndubisi, Carissa Caleb, Chimezi Okeke, Gloria Alado, Olani Hishoinka, Chinaza Favor, and Ka. They are all going to be present in person at the event. Now, if you can make it to the event, very beautiful, get somebody, invite your friends, and come tag along with one. And if you can't make it, you can actually stream virtually. So go to our website, www.serenafrica.com/yama, get your ticket, and I can't wait to have you. From me and from the entire planning team for Yama Convention 2024, I wish you a beautiful night rest. And tomorrow at 7 p.m., we're going to be having the final lap. Trust me, you don't want to miss that particular session. If you got value from yesterday's session, and today's session, imagine what tomorrow's session is going to look like. So do not miss out on tomorrow's session. And thank you so much, and do have a wonderful night rest. Big shout out to our speakers. Thank you so much, you all, for your time here. And I would see you on the other end. From me and from everyone, do have a wonderful night rest.